Welcome back, Professor Caps. Today we are, as the slide can show you, we're going to learn how to make ourselves a nuclear weapon. It's kind of a fun topic. In the sense of, well, okay, so it's not fun at all. But on the other hand, atomic energy is a fun topic, and this kind of deals a little bit with that. We'll get into it. All right, let's get started. So first off, let's talk about the components of a nuclear weapon. We have the warhead and the detonator here. Before we really get moving, there's two different types of nuclear weapon. There's the atomic bomb and there's the thermonuclear. And they both work a little differently, one than the other, but they have the same basic components. So we have a warhead and a detonator. As you can see, that little ball in the middle of the warhead, that is your separated fissile material. That's what's actually going to make the nuclear part of the nuclear bomb. And it's separated from the detonator. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about atomic versus nuclear. An atomic bomb will work via nuclear fission, which is the splitting of large molecules. An atomic bomb will have a non-nuclear detonator. One of the premium fissile materials for an atomic bomb is uranium-235. This is kind of the old school. This is Fat Man, Little Boy style bombs. True story. Little flex here. I actually got to go see General Paul Tibbets speak. I got to meet the guy. Super nice dude. He was the pilot of the Enola Gay. Okay, moving on. Thermonuclear bombs. They work via fusion, which is the combining of smaller molecules. Also releases a ton of energy. With a fusion bomb, you need a nuclear detonator. Generally, it's a smaller nuclear device as compared to the actual bomb. It is known to use lithium hydride, and it is the destroyer of worlds. To my knowledge, anybody's ever dropped a thermonuclear bomb in an act of war, period. Pretty sure that's absolutely correct. So with the detonation of a nuclear weapon, what's actually happening is that the detonator, whether it be nuclear or non-nuclear, depending on atomic versus thermonuclear, that is going to fire off, generally on impact or to height, depending on how the weapon is set. And that will actually be what triggers the start of the chain reaction. So the fissile material is currently separated in the nuclear weapon. And then that first explosion is what will trigger the neutrons hitting the rest of the fissile material coming together and starting the chain reaction. Again, in an atomic bomb, it's just normal detonator. I mean, I don't know how large the bomb must be, but in a thermonuclear, more energy is needed to get the chain reaction started. So they use an actual smaller nuke. So it's a nuke on a nuke. Absolute terrible stuff. So what actually is doing all the damage is the result of the energy being released from the chain reaction. We've talked a little bit about chain reaction, but here in this slide we can see what it kind of looks like. The little brown dots are your initial neutrons, and they're hitting the core of an atom, and it's splitting. So the neutron hits, the molecule splits, releasing a ton of energy. In the case of uranium 235, you're getting the split, which is releasing lots of energy, but you're getting two different isotopes being created, as well as three spare neutrons being fired off as well. And those three spare neutrons will hit at the next level. Three more isotopes of uranium-235, and this is an ideal world. You hit three more, then those three will fire off three more. As you can see, you go from like ×3 to ×9. It's an exponential factor. It just keeps triggering off, keeps squaring itself. And in like a nuclear power plant, this is contained. This is it's modulated, it's contained. So you don't get a meltdown, you don't get too much buildup. But in a nuclear weapon, the idea is that you want maximum destruction. So there's zero containment of this. It is just devastating. Obviously, you can look at even plants that have gone off the grid. Chernobyl, Pripyat, that area is still radioactive today. Anyways, so uncontained, crazy destructive. Contained, the chain reaction can be modulated and can be reined in to produce productive power, but obviously that's not what we're learning about here. Let's talk a little bit about the radiation, the aftermath of a nuclear bomb. Obviously, when a nuclear bomb hits, you get the massive explosion, you get the shock wave, you get a blast of radiation, but the radiation lingers and irradiates the things that are around it. The first level of radiation we're talking about is alpha. It's the slowest, shortest moving particles. Generally, clothing can stop it. You still want to protect cell membranes. You still want to protect thyroid, uh, parathyroid. A lot of your endocrine system is really susceptible. Then we go up to beta, moves faster, can get through more stuff. Again, important to protect your endocrine system. Long bones, also important to protect. They're pretty susceptible to radiation. Then finally we get to gamma. Gamma is the big nasty boy. No, it does not turn you into a green Hulk. That's, I guess, the standing joke. Gamma radiation kills you, and it kills you slowly. You can only be so lucky as to die quickly. So gamma will actually shoot through you. It will pierce your cell membranes. It will cause cell lysis. It will cause cancer. It will cause all sorts of issues. Cancer is a mutation from the cells being damaged inappropriately or incorrectly repaired by your body and then duplicating. I can't think of a worse way to go than radiation sickness, than radiation poisoning. Uh, Anyways, I would suggest you watch the HBO series Chernobyl. It does a pretty good job at showing what radiation sickness can do. If you read up on it, it's even worse what's being showed there. Anyways, we don't mess with gamma radiation. It's part of the reason why post nuclear weapon usage areas are so desolate and you can't really return for a long, long time. And we're seeing that with Fukushima now. Like, we're now starting to come back to that. Chernobyl is still uninhabitable. It's not even a nuclear weapon. That was a power plant that went. Thank you, Soviet Union, and their crap. Anyways, so nuclear weapons have long-lasting, devastating effect on the land, not just the people that live there. Anyways, so in conclusion, we've talked about nuclear weapons, the components thereof, detonators and warheads. We've talked a little bit about how they work. We've talked about the chain reaction. We've touched on what radiation can do to an area, how devastating it can be. Just in the conclusion, I'd like to point out the dichotomy between the destruction and terribleness of a nuclear weapon versus nuclear power, which is one of the cleanest productions of power that actually generates substantial and usable energy at a consistent rate. It's likely part of our future to have clean energy. And so the source of great clean energy versus the source of great destruction, it's a strange dichotomy. It's a thing that obviously we're still working on to get completely right. Anyways, that is how you make a nuclear weapon. Have fun.